it gives me great pleasure to welcome to Sedona Academy Award nominee Mariel Hemingway, Bobby Williams, and two-time Academy Award-winning director Barbara Kopple. Thank you. And Mariel, you so beautifully told the story this morning about how this whole project came to be. Can you relay that to the 600 people who are here on how this film and this project came to be for all of you?
Well, to be perfectly honest, it wasn't the first thing on my agenda to do. Let's tell a story about your life. I have a friend, Lisa Erspamer, who was the creative director at OWN Network, and she's no longer there. But anyway, she said to me several years ago, "Gosh, we got to do a story about your family and your life." I was like, "Ugh, that sounds awful." And I said, and the reason I said that is the last thing I wanted it to be was a bad reality show. You know, like there's just so much of that around. I really want, if you're going to tell this story, you want it to be told by somebody who's sensitive, who's an artist. And so Lisa kept she was interviewing directors, and she finally called me one day and she said, "I think I've got Barbara Kopple interested." And I went, "Oh, oh." And I was totally interested in meeting her because, first of all, I was a huge fan of her work as an artist. She's an incredible filmmaker. And so we decided to meet. We met in New York City, and I just knew that I was in the hands of somebody who was not only an artist, but also somebody who was super sensitive and could tell this story in a way because like everybody else, she has her own stories and her own life and her own struggles with, you know, suicide and other things. So there was a complete understanding and symbiotic relationship that just I knew that would work really well, even though I was terrified. So was I. There we go. So anyway, we decided that we would make this film, and I was saying this morning, I said, Barbara called me up at one point and she said, it's wonderful, it's 5 hours. I said, cut it. Who wants to watch any of this for 5 hours? And she did cut it. She honed in on the three sisters and what it meant for us to grow up where we did, how we did, and in the genetic, you know, kind of makeup that we lived in.
Well, actually, I was calling you because it was 5 hours, and I wanted you to say, "What's in it? What are you doing?" And
I didn't want to know.
And she said, "I'm going hiking. You'll figure it out."
But it was an incredible experience, and Bobby was really a huge part of this journey, you know, of us kind of creating, really, the movie sort of helped us define our own sort of passion for health and wellness, and we really defined what the focus was. So that's been incredible.
Yeah, and I did not break the car, by the way. She ran over the rock. Remember I said pay attention, right? We brought the car back and they said, "What did somebody run over? This thing is totaled. You can't take it out of you." You know, the stuff that Mariel went through is just blows my mind because I don't come from that world. I come from 3 generations of New York firemen, family and community. It's much more low key, you know, and she's in the limelight since she's a kid, you know, especially because her grandfather and what an amazing person that is, and following all these footsteps is difficult, and the stuff that went on in her family just, you know, it blows my mind. And when she started doing film, her first film, well, her second lipstick, her first being 13, at 16, her first kiss ever was with Woody Allen. He was 44. I was like, "What are you talking about? You didn't make out with anybody in school?" She's like, "No, and I practiced on my hand before I went on the set." And I said, "Do I only have to do this once? We only have to do this once, right?" She had a bizarre life, let's face it, you know, and tough though, you know, with her sisters and everything that went on in her family. And it's amazing how Barbara found all these pieces.
We put some very real things in this film that maybe other people might not have mentioned, that were very difficult. And I had many, many long nights of walking back and forth in the editing room, for example, of whether to put that material in about Jack and the girls, which was one of the hardest things. And I wanted to make sure that I looked for every single piece of footage that Mariel said about Jack so that I would have it all. But I just thought, hey, if I'm going to do a film, and Mariel made me promise to do a film that was going to be real and all the stones would be unturned, then I've got to put this in because this happens. And if we don't tell the real story of what happens, we're cheating people and we're cheating ourselves.
You clearly are on a different path, a very different, very healthy path. Where did was that a conscious thing? Was that something you made?
It happened right when the car broke. From there on out, everything was perfect.
Now, the choices that I made were I was going to be the healthiest person, I was going to eat all the right food, I was going to do all the right things. And what I realized was, I was searching my entire life for something outside myself to find out what my path was, what was going to make me feel whole and not crazy. And, I didn't want to be running from crazy my whole life, but I didn't know anything different. That's really what I thought. I thought at some point I was going to wake up in the morning, I was just going to be crazy and not even know it. And so my journey was, in this health and wellness, but I was always searching outside myself. I've been to gurus and countries, and I've chanted, and I've done a lot of wonderful things and taken wonderful things from all the different sort of theories and philosophies and practices and spirituality and meditations and all these things. I've taken golden nuggets from it, but what it made me realize, probably way too late in my life, but what it made me realize is that I was my best teacher. I knew what was right for me, and those answers lay within me, and those answers come from the history that I come from, the family that I come from, the choices that I've made in the past, so that I can take all that information, gather it inside me, and go, oh, I actually know what's right for me. And so my passion has been with this film and with this message of getting awareness of mental illness and suicide out, is that everybody has a story. And everybody has a story to tell that can help heal them. Because once you tell the story, then you get to let go of the story and start on the journey of healing yourself and becoming that healer within you, the guide within you. The guru lies within us. And I think that it takes us too long to figure out that we know what's right for us, but we don't trust ourselves. And my whole life's been a journey about figuring out how I can trust myself. And now I don't feel like I'm running from anything. I'm running a little bit with crazy. He did break the car. But I love the journey of my life, and I really am excited because I know that, I've suffered massive depression. I've had suicidal tendencies, but my life has unfolded in such a way that I've found tools to help me find balance for me. And I believe that if I share those with you, that you can find your own tools. But sometimes my tools will help you to open up to your own understanding of your family and your consciousness and your awareness and your own ability to heal. Because I think that this story is so prevalent. I think this story is in all of our families. It doesn't have to be the exact story, but we all suffer from something. Or we know someone who's committed suicide, or we know someone who is so depressed, or suffers from manic depression, or whatever it is, and can't function in society, or does function in society. Here's the other thing. There's people around you all the time that you may not even realize that they're suffering, because it's a silent disease. It's a disease of shame. and stigma and embarrassment. So the more we can just say, here's my story, I broke the car, I didn't break the car, or my life is this, or I come from that, and here's my father, I love him, but he did this, and yet I still love him. If we can tell those stories, we can be honest about them, then we get to heal.